morning, everyone. So the Bible reading for today is 2 John 1, verses 4 and 7. So, how happy I was to meet some of your children and find them living according to the truth, just as the Father commanded. I say this because many deceivers have gone out into the world. They deny that Jesus Christ came in a real body. Such a person is a deceiver and an antichrist.
Awesome. Thanks, Ava. What a good morning we're having so far. My name's Nick. I'm the youth pastor and kids pastor here. So things are a bit different when I get up here. I have a lot of energy and lots of fun. Today is going to be different. Firstly, because I'm going to give you the whole point of what I'm talking about today. It's really simple. Kids need Christian community to grow strong in God. That's it. All right, I'm done. No, kidding. So thank you. Secondly, it would be silly of me to come up and talk about community without actually having people who work in the community come and share. So today I've got some helpers that I'm going to invite come up a little bit later. But first, I just need to lay down a foundation of why it's so important that kids get that Christian community. So, as Ava just read, John has written a letter to a church about living in fellowship with God. And so, in verse 7, so 2 John chapter 1, verse 7, it's written, I say this because many deceivers have gone out who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh, have gone out into the world. Any such person is a deceiver. So the world we live in has lots of different communities young people can get connected into, and we as adults can get connected into. There's social media, there's sporting clubs, there's drama clubs, there's library clubs, there's sewing clubs, there's cooking clubs, there's clubs for everything. And most of these things are actually good for us. However, they probably have a different worldview about who God is than what we do. And with kids, the friends they hang out with the most, they're going to actually have the highest influence on a kid's faith. They're going to have the most impact about where the kid ends up on their faith journey as an adult. And as a church, we have a wonderful community that really supports young people. And we also want to continue to be, like in verse 4, a community that has no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in truth. So, sorry those words are really tiny. On my computer it looked really big. Classic. So, for young people, the community they're in has a massive impact. So last year, at the end of last year, there was a report put out by Converge Oceania. So in this report, they put out this lovely thing. It shows what happens when a young person journeys along through life, whether they've started in a Christian home or not, and the impact of their community on their faith journey when they become an adult. And so the top 4, they're all Christians. They're following, practicing the faith. The bottom 4, they're not Christians. They're not following, practicing the faith. And the interesting thing about this report is whether they had a faith challenge or not, the spiritual engagement had the most impact. And if they had someone, I could share the same comment to someone who I had a relationship with and someone who I didn't have a relationship with. The person I shared it with, that I've got a relationship, they're actually going to take it as a positive. But if it's someone who I don't have a relationship with, they're going to take it as a judgment and probably go downwards on that journey. So young people grow up in this relationship ecosystem with their faith journey. So one of the key things they said was that these narratives are a result of relational ecosystem the young people grow up in. In other words, what is going on around a young person meaningfully impacts their faith as much as what is going on inside them. So as a church, how we are impacting our local community and our kids in here has just as much impact as what they're thinking about themselves on their faith journey. So, like I said earlier, I can't do this alone. So I'm going to get Sarah Stemler to come up first. She's the chappie at Dobbin State High School. So she's just going to share quickly about what she's doing. That's okay. Classic. So yeah, this is Sarah. She's at Dobbin State High School. So what is it that you do? And as a church, how can we help you?
Absolutely. So as Nick said, I am Sarah. I am the chaplain at Dobbin State High School. I work there 3 days a week, and I'm there to support the social, emotional, and spiritual needs of our teenagers. Now, if anyone's ever worked with teenagers, you know that that is not an easy task. Teenagers do not like to listen to adults. And so for me, it's more about going alongside these teenagers and building relationships. Not just earning their trust, but showing up for them when no one else is. But I can't do that alone. And so we have some amazing programs out at Dobbin. We do a Bible study each week. We have chappie breakfast, pancake breakfast each week. We also have an amazing volunteer team called our chaplaincy support team, which is run by some amazing volunteers from Rivers. And they are able to support me in keeping me accountable for the needs of our community, but also supporting any fundraisers we might do. So we have a lot of amazing opportunities to come into the school and support our youth, but we also have some behind-the-scenes strategic opportunities as well. Yeah.
Is there any stories?
I do have a story. Earlier this year, we had a senior school student who was really struggling academically. He was struggling socially. And it got to the point where he was caught vaping on school grounds. He wasn't suspended. He had an in-school suspension. Part of that was coming to have a chat with me. What I learned about this young kid was that he was going through a phase of questioning everything he knew about his life. He was questioning why he was showing up to school. He was questioning who in his life matters to him. But more importantly, he was questioning what does he believe. Through those conversations, I was able to support him in figuring out the right questions to ask, but also the right place to find those answers. I was able to connect him in with a local church to him, and he has been actively going to church for a couple of months now, and he's one of the kids that is one of the whole reasons we have a Bible study at Dobbin is because he was so encouraged by what he was finding outside of school that he wanted to bring it into the school.
So good. Thanks, Sarah. That's amazing. And that's what it's about. It's about getting around them and journeying with them. So now we're going to have Beck, who is the chappie at Kalanga State School, come up. And she's going to share a little bit about what's happening in her school and how we can help.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. So yes, I'm at Kalanga State School. I'm there 2 days a week, and I'm at another school locally 3 days a week. So it's busy chaplain's life. So at Kalanga, this is my 15th year being a chaplain, but only my second year at Kalanga. So still getting to know the community a bit, but really loving the opportunities. And this year particularly focusing connecting with Nick and Tim, and that's been really good. Because Kalanga State School, a lot of the families, and I find this at both my schools, what they're missing is community, is connections, that they're really deprived of that in a family. And I know as myself as a mum, not having community, the thought of it is scary. So I think my favourite thing about being a chaplain is being able to journey with young people and journey with families, and to see how can I build that community capacity or build community for those families and even for those kids, whether it's friendships or within themselves, being able to build on their own ability to see self-worth, ability to see that they have potential, that they're not a write-off, even when they're little kids, grade 2 or 3. It's heartbreaking when they have this attitude that, well, what's the point? They're broken, or what's the point? I'm just a naughty kid. So being able to journey and for them to change that narrative, and I love that idea of that ecosystem, relational ecosystem. Yeah. Yes, so these last holidays, we're still in the holidays, last week, seems like such a long time ago actually, Nick came along and I ran a camp called Shack Marumba. And so Shack is a day camp. I started way back in 2012. And the idea is to build community with families, to introduce them to the idea of camps, but even just have a positive experience with a church. So we had 79 kids over the 3 days, most of which are not church attending families. And the first 6 to register were actually returning kids from last year who are not church-going families, and they were most of them are kids that were returning ones had go to Kalanga State School, and we had more kids from Kalanga State School come along this year, and Josh Larkin and Nick came along as well and joined the craziness. But it was really good to connect with then the families, because we had a sausage sizzle on the last day, and to see most of the families stayed. And I love just stepping back and looking at these parents talking to this parent, or the leaders talking to the parents, and the kids love to come up and go, Mum, this is my leader, and just to see those connections it's just beautiful. So I just keep looking for those opportunities, praying for those opportunities. I don't do much fundraising because I am 2 days, and it's the worst part of a chaplain's job is fundraising. But any time that I can create an opportunity for you to connect with my school community, I think they're just the greatest moments.
Awesome. Thanks, Beck. So they're just 2 opportunities where community is being created. We also have RI that operates in a lot of the primary schools. RI is a way where we can go in and actually just preach to the kids. And the schools aren't actually allowed to say no. Once it's set up, we're allowed to go in and say, hey, here's the Bible. Do you have questions? RI is a wonderful opportunity for that. So that's our outside community. What about our inside community? How are we actually helping our young people connect and be a part of God's greater community on their journey? Again, we have a lovely youth group that's happening on Sunday mornings during the school term. We have a lovely kids program happening, but that's on a Sunday. A kid's life is not just Sundays. Their journey happens throughout the week with all of their friends. So I've invited 2 other people to come up and share this morning. So we're going to get Leanne up first for our Girls Brigade, and she's going to share as well our Girls Brigade, what they do and how they help and what we can do to help them.
So a few of you, well, hopefully a lot of you, actually a couple of weeks ago would have heard Hayley up here do her testimony. She's just one of our examples of coming to us at Girls Brigade many years ago and building her faith through our leaders. Another one that I'd like to say to you is Maddie. Some of you have seen Maddie around the church. She actually sits up at the back doing screens some Sundays, and you'll find her sitting probably with me most other Sundays. So Maddie started with us back in juniors So that is, I think it was year 4 she started with us. And she gave me a little written note about her 3rd week of coming to Girls Brigade and said, I want to get my Queen's Award, and signed it. And I said, well, you know what this means? You have to go to church. Because part of Queen's Award is you must be attending church, must be involved in the church. Roll on a few years to when she came into Pioneers with me, and I said to her, still want to do Queen's Award? She said yes. So she started coming along to church with us. And she has now completed her Queen's Award and will be presented with that. So through that journey that we've had with her, she started from being not attending church at all, no Christian background, to attending church and building her faith and also her self-esteem. She was very, very shy. She was. Not quite so shy now. Next. Oh, how can you help us? I would love more girls from our church community to be involved in Girls Brigade as well as their families. We have probably about 1/3 of our girls who come along who have no Christian background whatsoever. Don't go to church outside. We are their only, maybe through RI at school if they do it, but other than that, we are their only Christian contact that they have. Some of the girls we get along, so shy when they start coming here. They're not afraid of being left here, but they're like in their little self. And then we've had one girl this year that has started to come out. She wouldn't come in those doors over there until everyone had exited and only her group was in here, and then she would come in. Now she actually stands just inside the door at the beginning of the night. That's taken me 6 months to get her to that point. But we would love prayer as well. If you are willing to pray for a girl or a leader, come and see me and I'll give you someone to pray for.
Yep. Thanks, Leanne. So Girls Brigade happens on a Tuesday night right here. So, if you have or know someone that would be suitable, go and talk to Leanne. Next up is Russell. He does Boys Brigade, which is a Wednesday night. So what do you do and how can we help you?
Can I just say our youth get a bad rap, all we see out there is just negativity in the media and things like that, but can I say that the guys we have here are awesome? We're not perfect, but we're on a journey together, and I think for brigades, particularly Boys Brigade, it's all about connection. It's all about community. If we don't have that, then they do act out, like you see on the news and things like that. So we work very hard to bring them into like a village where they feel accepted. And we have guys from the community coming in, and they've got records and things like that. But while they're here, they're engaged, they're learning about Jesus, and they're getting influenced in a good way to be better people. So like I say, we don't have it all together, we don't say that, but we've got what it takes, and we're on a journey to get there. So as far as that goes, we challenge them a lot spiritually. Believe it or not, young people are ready. They're ready to know more. And we're ready to give it, to give them the opportunity to do so. And I think brigades do that really well. It's our spiritual contents all through our program. We have a really good leadership development course that challenges them not only like physically and giving them hard skills, but also deep spiritual content that challenges them. And we find that the guys are lapping it up. So there's a real hunger out there for spiritual growth, and so we're really focusing on that. We don't apologise for who we are, and that we're for Christ. And part of our motto is the advancement of Christ's kingdom among boys, and that's the first line. So we don't apologise for that, and the guys are ready for it. And they're not what I call typical Christian kids either. Some of them are quite rough around the edges, but they're ready, and it's a real challenge for us to sometimes keep up with them. So that's what we do on Wednesday nights, but not only Wednesday nights, but it's throughout the whole year. So we have weekends as well. A lot of the growth that we experience is on, and particularly around community, is when we take them away out bush and things like that, and we go camping together and things like that. Those sorts of moments are gold, and we look forward to that a lot. Stories? Oh, there's plenty of stories. How long have I got? So, 2 minutes, okay. I think, I don't know, there's, with brigades, and I think Boys Brigade generally, we really encourage intergenerational. So we have leaders who are like brothers to some of the boys. We've got leaders who are like great granddads to some of the boys. So there's like teenagers right through to guys in their 70s who come in every Wednesday and give them themselves. So I think there's an opportunity for everyone to make a difference, and even if it's just a little bit to contribute, they do it, and they do it so lovingly to these guys. And I think a story about that is, it's more of a story around family, I guess, because there's a family that we have that comes along, and while they are sort of like on the edge, like church people, like they probably acknowledge that they're Christians, but they don't go to church as such. We've seen their son come in from like, little kid, being a real terror and really trying our patience and things like that. And we persevere with these guys and, come through and we mould them, try and shape them. Well, we try to, but mostly God does that. Leave it to him to do. But basically the whole family now are talking about Jesus. Even though they're not sort of regular attenders at church, now the whole family talking about Jesus. And this guy is now like 18 in our program, and he's going through, and hopefully towards the end of this year he'll gain the highest award in Brigade, and he's going to be, he'll come into that with a faith. I know he will. I'm confident of that. And only that, his family will be impacted. So it goes across the families as well. The whole family, even though their son or their boy comes along, it impacts the whole family. Yeah.
Thanks, Russ. So both those programs, the kids can start when they're in prep and go all the way to 18, and then if they choose, they can go on and be leaders. So Maddie's actually one of my youth leaders that comes out during the term as well. So it's amazing that we have this as part of our community, and we get to hear these stories and see these things happening. But it wouldn't be a good sermon if there wasn't something for us to do as well. So for us to continue to see and hear these stories, there's these three things we can do. We can pray. Everyone can pray. We can pray for the families. We can pray for the kids. We can pray for the leaders, the chappies, the volunteers that are going into the schools to support the chappies. We can go. So if you have kids, if you're a parent and you have kids, you can actually send your kids to these programs or tell them that in their school there will be a chaplain they can connect with. If you're an older generation, you can still go. You can volunteer your time. You can go and offer support where you can. I know the chaplains, they have these committees that help to keep them on track, and they're always looking for extra people to come and support and be wise in how they should be serving their community and their school. And then we can give. Without finances, a lot of these things won't run. So you can give money, but you can also just give resources. So sometimes a school might need particular books printed, or they might need particular activities, equipment to run a certain program. Sometimes if you have that at home, you might be able to just supply it. It's about talking with the chappies and talking with Leanne and Russ about what's going on in their programs and how we can actually support them. So I'm just going to pray to wrap up. So if we can just close our eyes, and then we shall move on once I've prayed. Father God, we thank you that you have blessed us with such a great community for your young people to grow. We pray that you would bless the chaplains with open doors and workers to help them to be a light in their schools. We pray for the brigades that they would be strengthened and continue to see growth in their kids. We ask you would bless them all with volunteers and resources to do the work. We thank you for the mothers and fathers who have faithfully raised their children to follow you. We also pray for the prodigals to return home. We ask that this week there would be a softening of their hearts back to you, that you will turn the hearts of the parents to their children and the hearts of the children to their parents. We thank you, God, that we can call you Father, and we are part of this great community. Amen.